Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are creating and streaming today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Flynn, I'm hosting, I'm hanging out with Johanna aka Dark Hours Co. And yesterday we had a really great stream focusing on the new spring brushes and exploring and all that sort of thing. And then today we're going to be implementing them. So hello and welcome back to this side of the camera, Johanna.
Hello, it's wonderful to be here. Happy to be back. I of course did the pro streamer thing of having the stream open while streaming, so I just got a wonderful cacophony of sound in my ears. So if I looked confused, viewer, I was very confused.
Yeah, you gotta especially when you hear your own voice as well. It's incredibly jarring.
Especially so.
Yeah, like what is past me talking about? Yeah, it's nuts. Do you want to recap on what we kind of did yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Version, but you know,
let's do a mini recap. So, Idun, the goddess of spring and regeneration, or rejuvenation, I should say, is the focus of our sort of story layout here, and the medium is the new 2024 spring brushes. So, quick recap: you can get these new brushes by going to pixel brushes here at top, selecting all brushes, and then here at the bottom. How convenient. Discover new brushes, and they're all here. As you can see, I have already downloaded literally every brush possible, but it will say either install or add here. As you can see, it says remove on all of them, so I already have them. But then we just went through briefly. I demoed some of the brushes. These are the ones that kind of stood out the most to me out of the whole pack, although all of them were massively impressive, and I did feel like this set was just tailor-made for me, which made me feel very special. And then we got into some more experimentation and shenanigans, and I will reveal the layers that all of that ensued.
Cool.
Let's see, and as you can see, my layers are now very nice and organized, and I can show you the finalized sketches of both of my ladies, I should say.
Where did you get the original kind of poses and everything from? Was there any reference?
No, actually, which there should have been, shouldn't there? No, actually, when I went to do these hands, the first one, it was all right. I just thought, I'll just do that with my hand, and I could, guess at how it was supposed to look like. But with this bottom one, I obviously have a time lapse of this piece being created because I'm using Fresco and it records everything that I do. I think majority of the time will be spent on this hand in particular, because that took forever.
It looks awesome. We mentioned it yesterday, like hands are obviously notoriously the hardest thing to draw, but they both look super good.
Thank you very much. And this one I did actually end up using reference for, so I popped into Google and it said woman cradling basket, and after a while I did get enough of the reference that I could make it look okay for me. So use reference. It's not cheating. It's actually how you do art well, is the lesson to be learned there. But amazingly, with this one here, no reference at all, just reckless abandon, which you can kind of sense, because I'm wondering if the lengths here are accurate or, lengths here. But for the sake of doing a little scribble, which is what it initially was, as I can come back and show you, looks perfectly fine to me. And to just experiment with brushes or just experiment with posing characters to begin with, posing human beings, which is not something that I do as much, it's perfectly fine. And practice makes practice, so it's all learning from here.
That's right. I should just shout out as well for those joining us.
Course.
If you've got any questions in chat, let's start again. If you have any questions while we are live, please throw them in chat. We're live on Behance, live on YouTube. I'll keep an eye on all of it as we're rolling along with Johanna. Sorry to interrupt.
Amazing. No, no, you're all right. I think we were both going into host mode
Yeah.
and just we have the script of what we need to say before we really dive into the stream.
Right.
And I think you and I both at the same time realized, oh no, we haven't acknowledged chat. And it needed to be done. But to go back to it, here we can see I guess the piece de resistance, the golden apple of Eden, which is what the the inhabitants of Asgard need to continuously eat in order to remain ever youthful. This was, I feel, the best expression and showcase of the brushes so far.
Cool.
In terms of, I had a mess around. It does look similar to my usual work that I do, but it also was a lot easier and more fun. And to give you just a quick preview of that said work, I of course have my Instagram, and you can see it's a lot of textural stuff. Yeah. Of course, I can't say that on stream well. And so very, gritty brushes. And let's see here, what else can we show? Maybe this one as well. Playing around with blend modes to get that shine and everything like that. So again, it feels as if these brushes have been tailor-made for me. Yeah. And I love them completely.
Very cool.
Now, what I did promise for today is that we would hone in on one of these characters, or just either side of the illustration. And what I've decided is that we're actually going to hone in on this one, partly because I'm just so proud of these hands and I think it looks good. So let's do that. Now I will also actually no, I won't do that. What I will do is dive right into it. So here we have a kind of preview of how I've set up my colors so far. And what I have done, and what I didn't mention in yesterday's stream, is I did just do one layer of like, well, what would her outfit look like, hypothetically? Because keen viewers will notice, without that, she doesn't have any outfit on. But that's
it's a good thing the basket's there.
Exactly, good thing the basket is there, covering all the essential bits. But that's why we go and do further research and reference. So here are just some general images of the goddess herself through various stories and retellings. I particularly love this image. I think that is absolutely delightful.
Just the expression of like surprise and fear as she drops the apples and is carried away by a hawk. Absolutely. And it is not to be that person, but well, actually it is an eagle carrying it away here. Apologies.
But this is one of the stories in which she's featured in either the poetic or the prose Edda, which are the two sort of main stories about the shenanigans of Asgard. And she is tricked away, lured away, stolen as, a fun jest by Loki and company. It's always
Loki.
It is always Loki. He's a bit of a trickster, that one.
Even when it's an eagle, it's Loki.
Yeah. I think, he collaborated with a giant and thought like, oh, it would be so funny if we kidnap Idun and, see what happens with all the, the regenerative and youthfulness of Asgard. And of course, not everyone was very happy about that. And eventually she did return. Thank gods for that.
Does Loki quip? Does Loki have evidence of quipping like he does in the series? Like, did he say, "How do you like them apples?" when he was snatching her away?
Yes. No. As the token speed of Adobe Live here, I will say yes.
Yeah, all right, cool. I think
that sounds about right. Cool. But that aside, you can kind of get a sense of what clothes she was wearing. You can also see that sometimes in the apple world, it's a basket, but her sort of collection of apples is also sometimes represented by a chest here, as you can see in most of these. We also have a little what's it called? Shout out to her husband Bragi over here, who is the god of poetry and storytelling and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was also kind of cool. Nice. But we're getting sidetracked into Norse mythology. The main thing that I wanted to see was, okay, what does her hair look like? How is she dressed? And what kind of energy is she sort of given in her visual representation? Because in the main story that she's in, she's very much of a passive character. Like, the kidnapping happens to her, and it's more, you know, everyone else really having the most fun in that story. Right. So I was thinking, how might we kind of give her more of a presence and just focus on her instead of everyone else's mischief. Right. And yeah, that's kind of the main idea of nice. Let's put on a dress, let's, you know, have a bit more fun with the brushes to create some texture and things like that. And hopefully we'll have a fun piece in progress at the very least at the end.
Nice, very good. Very cool. Well, as I said before, if you have any questions or anything, let us know as we're going through.
Absolutely. Now we'll do my best sort of recapping Norse folklore on the go. Now let's see. The overarching trend that I'm seeing in her clothes is kind of this kind of neckline. Right. So what we're going to do is going to basically draw on top to establish the silhouette, and then we can do things like, you know, making it look like the clothes are actually on her body and making it a bit more realistic. But for the time being,
and are you doing this on another layer, like a new layer or anything like that?
Yes, I'm doing this on a new layer, and trying to be neat-ish, I'd say, but just establishing sort of the core shape. And then this is also what I will use to create my clipping mask when it comes to, you know, adding those textures in as well. But you can see that it is already on one clipping mask, because I can go like this and it's only on the inside.
It's like coloring in, but with training wheels. It's like
exactly
super easy.
Just makes it a bit quicker. And even though I do like to have a relatively small brush size, so I can get the sort of the inconsistency in coverage of doing it sort of like this. Of course you can't see it because I'm left-handed, but basically sort of indiscriminately filling in, as you can see here. I'm able to get even more texture in. So texture upon texture.
Cool. And you kind of like that kind of rough kind of way, like doesn't matter what direction you're coming in, you're just kind of getting the edges right.
Absolutely.
And everything else is kind of this almost crayon pastel color kind of technique.
Absolutely. It is for me the perfect balance of, yes, I'm making digital art, but I'll be damned if I don't make it look a little bit traditional.
Yeah, cool. And so that's why you're not like just filling it in with like paint bucket or something. Like you
want it to have and also I'm a bit of I don't know what the word would be, but I'd rather fill in all of this by hand and it take, you know, the time that it needs to take than kind of that's the erase, taking sort of the easy way out and filling it in with the paint bucket, because actually just the practice of filling it in by hand is just quite relaxing and quite nice. So again, it's the merging of both digital and traditional, and not really being able to let go of one while engaging with the other. And that, of course.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was going to say that, of course, when I then do traditional work, I find myself sort of pinching my sketchbook to zoom in and out and sort of doing the two double taps. So I can do it right here. These two double taps to undo.
Yeah.
And realizing, oh no, I'm on a regular piece of paper. I can't do that.
I've even tried to do the double tap undo when I was using a pen, like an iPad with a pen in other apps, and I'm like, it doesn't undo. But yeah.
Yes.
Command Z or Alt Z as well, like in when I'm working on something analog, is definitely something I do.
It's so, because it becomes so intuitive when you spend enough time using the tool. You just second nature at some stage.
Yeah.
Now let's see. Do I want to add?
And where are you getting this color palette from? Are we freestyling here?
A little bit of freestyling. I mean, I started out with sort of this grayish brown for my sketches, just because I liked the way that it looked on the sort of the creamy paper.
Yeah.
And then as I'm importing images, Fresco will actually, as you can see, create color palettes from the images themselves that I've imported, which is very, very useful.
Yeah. That's cool.
I used to actually do my own streams where I would take photos that I've made, or taken rather, and, color pick individually from those images.
Yeah.
So of course I can still do that, but this, without me having to do anything, I have color palettes already made from all of these images, which is very convenient.
Yeah.
But I do tend to just, in this beginning stage, just use whatever color comes first, essentially, whichever one I can grab first.
Yeah.
And then what I will do is make a clipping mask, and on top of that, choose a color that I actually want to use and kind of adjust it that way. Which, if that didn't make sense, I can make it more sense.
I'm with you.
In a minute. Let's see. And I've just realized that I painted on her hair. So let's not do that. So quickly remove that. I have upgraded my sort of camera placement setup from yesterday, but I'm still not quite used to having an overhead camera. So do let me know, Flynn, if I'm covering.
No, it's cool. I really like this.
What I'm doing too much.
The way that you've done this, because it's not just seeing the screen. We're seeing like the pen and the gestures and things like that. Really like adds to the iPad, I think. Like just
the iPad experience.
Yeah, the whole iPad experience.
Let's see. Now I'm finding myself getting a little stuck. So let's see. Just thinking how I want to approach this. Which is, I think I will do new layer. And again, sort of very loosely mess around with how the rest of her sort of dress might look like. And I think I'm happy with that. What I will do, controversially, is I won't do it that controversially. I will just remove this from the clipping mask. Let's see here, unclip that, because really the first clipping mask that I've done here is more so useful for things that will get near the edge here. So right. Did I really need it for this stage? No, but it is nice to keep things neat.
Yeah.
But what I will do is just bring that up so I then can, on that layer with the correct color, go in and add that in just as a loose shape, which I can then tweak a little bit later. Now it's getting a bit difficult to see, so I'm just going to remove some of my background layers.
Cool.
So I can see a little bit better.
And we were talking about the brushes the other day, just in case people missed the start. Which brush is this that you're using?
This is the Grit Boy Inca.
Grit Boy.
Grit Boy Inca, which is
Grit Boy.
a wonderful name, and I think it has to be my favorite brush out of all of the new ones.
Nice.
And again, like I said yesterday, the only change that I've made to this brush is that I've fixed the shape dynamics. So basically it has no shape dynamics, which means that when I go like this, you have very little sort of taper. It still sort of goes and ends, and it's the same thickness throughout, so it's a bit monoline.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't end quite as sharply.
Yeah.
As well, which I do prefer.
Cool.
And that again kind of harkens back to when I work traditionally, I'll use, pens and pencils.
Yeah.
And
I like how you showed us what a pencil looked like then.
Just for reference. You never know. Audience might not have seen a pencil in a while.
It's true.
Just to, let's see, now I'm having to think. Just to get a sense of, I've completely lost track of what I was saying. To be able to match what I'm doing traditionally in digital and what I do digital in traditional.
Yeah.
It's nice that they have a similar feel. And I think I'm going to have to be quiet just for a minute so I can do the spatial maths of this piece here. But now I will do a clipping mask, and for this I will actually put it in blend mode multiply so that I can quite easily sort of carve out the shape of the shadows here. And so basically carving out where we definitely will see a different part of the dress, where there is sort of here inside of the sleeve, but also where the body that is wearing the dress will interact.
Yeah, so it's kind of like outline.
Exactly. Giving it a bit of an outline. And what I will do is I'm going to duplicate the layer group that I used to create the line work. I'm going to hide that, and I'm going to merge it. Merge layers in group. Because then I will create a mask and hide layer, and then I'm able to remove the line work that I am reinforcing with the multiply layer.
Yeah.
So the line technically hasn't disappeared. It's just been replaced by a colored one instead. Let's see. And this way I can get a little bit more interesting line work, because the lines will correspond to what fabric or material they're interacting with, as opposed to just all being the same color.
Yeah.
And that can make it look a little bit too flat.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go back, sort of backwards and forwards in between layers to smooth things out and kind of create the shape.
So you're going to keep that outline color that like you kind of originally have there, but then when it intersects with the outfit, it's changing to a black outline. Is that right?
Exactly. So it is changing when, changing, for example, here at the elbow is what that's called. So now this is the clothing line,
Yes.
instead of the body line.
Right.
And sort of as I go through, this line also actually will disappear because that's the hairline. You won't actually see that because the sleeve, exactly.
Very cool.
So
yeah,
this,
I really like that. I like how it changes.
Thank you.
Like yeah.
Just makes it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
And what I will do sort of at the end here is put back my initial lines and just see, okay, how accurate are these lines now in terms of I've added clothes or I've added, you know, a basket. Do the lines actually still make sense?
Right.
And if they do, great, I can keep them. But if they don't, I might have to go back to any of my clipping masks and make it make a bit more sense.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense. But now I think, looking at it, I think we have a few more lines that we can add, which is going to be the outline of her clothes. You know what I'm actually going to do is another trick, which is I'm going to make, again, of course, a clipping mask on top of the line work. And instead of doing the multiply, I am just going to eyedrop the color that was created with the multiply and clip that to
I see. Yeah.
the layer instead.
Okay, so just to recap what you did then, because it was pretty quick, is instead of, before you were erasing the line and replacing it, like redoing the line essentially, and this is a different approach to it where you already had your outline, but you want it to be black in some cases. So you made a clipping mask on the outline and you're just going over the bits that you want.
Exactly. That was expertly recapped. I couldn't have done it better myself. Yeah, there's always a trillion ways to cook an omelette, I think is the term.
Crack an egg, I think.
Crack an egg. Well,
like
you know what?
3 ways to cook an omelette.
3 ways.
But there's lots of ways to crack an egg. You could throw it at a sibling. You could use your own forehead.
Have you ever done that, Finn? Using your forehead to crack open an egg?
I did. I have done that. I think that's why it came into my mind. I've definitely done that before.
Oh, you're like, oh no, that one time I tried to do it and it went terribly.
It was to make my daughter laugh, and it was hugely successful until she tried to do the same thing, and then it turned into, hey, this is why you don't do stupid things in front of your kids, because they might copy you. So she just, for like a month, she just wanted to crack eggs on her forehead, which my wife was not very impressed by.
Goodness me, I think a couple lessons were learnt.
Yeah,
that day.
We're all learning, learn from each other.
Definitely.
But yeah,
okay.
I got the laugh.
Yeah, I mean, what don't you do for your kids, right?
Yeah, worth it, 100%.
100%. Okay, I think I've almost. Oh no, that's gonna be a different color. It was this one. So this process can get a little finicky. Oh no, I actually don't want that to be the case.
Tap, tap, tap.
As I kind of go, exactly, tap away, and go back and forth with what I want to do. And I will say, if you're mixing these two techniques together, fair warning, it might get a bit confusing.
Yeah, I was expecting you to say that. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, so find one that you like and then stick to that one.
Yeah.
Because of course, as I'm going through here, my brain is doing way too much thinking, much more than it actually needs to do, because it is thinking of, okay, am I on this mask or am I on this mask? What color is that? Is it multiply? Is it not? So be smart. Don't do what I do and do more techniques on top of each other, but instead, pick one that you feel works for you, and stick to one ideally. Okay, I think the next thing that I want to work on is this basket here. Well, actually, no. The next thing I want to work on is getting a better color for the dress. So I'm just gonna look around here and maybe, oh no, I'm gonna color pick this one. And let's see, I'm gonna go on the clipping mask. And this is where it's useful to do the clipping mask for the line work on the color layer instead of the line work, because if you do it on the color layer, it's just going to multiply what you have underneath it. So if you have your brown color, if you do a layer on top of that and set that to multiply, it's interacting directly with that brown layer color. But if you do it in the line work and only eyedrop what the multiply color actually looks like, you're going to have to redo that color every time you change the base color.
Right.
Did that make sense, Flynn, or do you need me to
No, I'm with
explain that again?
I'm with you.
Awesome. Because as you can see, the color that I have here for this part of the sleeve is this nice sort of burgundy red, but the color that is here is not a nice burgundy red, and that's because this one I dropped from this one here when it was on top of a brown layer. So that's another reason to not mix those up, because you do create a little bit more extra work for yourself. But this is why we are live, so that I can make mistakes and you can learn from them. Mm-hmm. So I think that is a little bit more of a fun color than the brown that we had.
Nice.
And so we can keep things moving, I'm going to make a new layer and get started on the hair, which I will also just eyedrop. Now let's see, have I made... I don't think I did make a mask for the hair, so I'm going to do that right now. Which this time we're lucky that I already have probably maybe the color that I already want to use. But irregardless of that, I would be making this mask anyway, because we want to add texture and stuff later. Now, Flynn, how are we going with time?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
So
now,
this
as
is
usual,
you creating the background, the blocking of the color. So this is the
exactly
step one in creating like a shape, basically.
Exactly. So I'm trying to be a bit quick, a bit messy, because since it has been a little bit of a while since I've been on, I completely misjudged the amount of time that I have to draw. And I do believe you're doing a slightly shorter stream today, in my defense. I don't know if I can claim that defense. So I'm just gonna keep going sort of as I do.
It's very cool.
Lovely. Now that I have that base layer, I can add another one. Clipping masks, set it to multiply, and for example, go in here and do sort of a little bit of excuse me, adding a bit more visual interest to the hair. Bit of, I guess, preliminary shadow, I could say. And we're not even going to talk about the braid because I didn't know how to draw braids before this stream, and I don't think I've necessarily learnt how to do it after this stream.
If you didn't say anything, I wouldn't have thought anything.
You know, I'm too self-aware not to say anything.
Yeah.
I think.
It's a classic case of if you draw attention to it, then someone might be like, "Oh,
absolutely.
Braids? Is that how you do braids?"
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks cool.
And because I've drawn attention to it. Yeah. No, that's definitely how that works. Let's see here. Why is that not showing up? That's a problem we do not have time to fix, so I'm just gonna put it on another layer.
And that's how you end up with 400 layers.
Exactly. That's how I ended up with the mess I had prior to the stream. Now, I don't know if multiply is necessarily the right move here. So I'm just going to go through real quick and look at the different options that I have, or maybe overlay. Soft light is a little too subtle. Ooh, definitely not difference this time. Let's go overlay. That's another fan favorite.
Yeah.
Is the overlay. And what I will do next is another bit of a work smarter, not harder. I'm going to duplicate this. Hide that. Merge all layers in the group. And now I have an apple. Let's see. Oh, I need to confirm it first. An apple to start populating the basket.
So to move that layer, I saw that you had to do something. What did you have to do to move that layer?
So what I had to do was basically deselect or confirm my selection. So I still had it in transform mode. So like this, so while it's here, I can't move the layer anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is definitely, oh my goodness, definitely for the best, as that would have created most likely a little bit of a mess if I was able to move around the layers.
Yeah.
While resizing stuff. Now, of course, I've remembered I merged this. So now we will just go back into the mask mode. And no, done it wrong. We'll mask this instead. And go here. So I can very easily just pop in an apple. And then we will go back and duplicate that layer. Move it around, and don't worry yet about the fact that it's only a bit of an apple and we've chopped it off, because we can again just move it around and resize it as well.
Yeah, because in the thumbnail it's a full apple, but
exactly
on the screen it's been chopped by the just erased, I think.
Yeah, it has been chopped by the mask, but because this is working non-destructively instead of destructively, we can very easily just slide between like this. So this is where I can move and sort of paint around, and then here is if I slide it exclusively for the mask.
Right. I didn't know about that sliding move. That's cool.
Yeah, I think, can you double click? No, you cannot. And then you can also make it red so you see what you've erased as well, if you need that as help. But I prefer to just have it be what I've done.
What you see is what you get, kind of thing.
It helps you. And then we're going to flip. And obviously, if this were a commissioned illustration, what I would actually do is draw each apple.
Right, like individually and yeah.
Exactly. And make sure that the lighting is accurate and everything like that. But for a little short demo and making of a little illustration, this will have to do.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go back and add back in that layer and that, and we can see already it looks so much more like an illustration.
Yeah, it's looking cool.
Than it did before. And might go in and tidy this up a bit. And what you've been able to do recently in Fresco as well is you can, without having to use the ruler tool, you can make straight lines. So all that you have to do is start drawing and then hold on. You start drawing, then you hold down.
Oh, wow.
And now you've got a straight line, which is great when you're erasing edges like this, because you can make an attempt at a straight line and then just correct it.
Oh, that's super cool. Love that.
And align it, and it makes cleaning up your mess a lot easier.
That's cool. I always thought it was a bit clunky with using the ruler. I remember ages ago playing around with it and having to get the ruler and then bring it across and then do it. So that's really great, because I know in Photoshop I know it's been around for a long time, but I remember I think Jeremy was doing it on the stream or something, and just seeing him do a perfect straight line, I was like, wait, how did you do that?
It's like, excuse me?
Such a useful thing, because sometimes you need a straight line.
Kind of thinking that, that shouldn't be possible. How did you do that?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of possible, we've only got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Okay, this last trick is all that I'm going to show you, and not very well because we don't have enough time, is just increasing the size of the brush and using the brush itself to create texture in the line work. So what I've done just here on this layer is gone into the overall line work layer and added some more texture, and that can create more
just by using a massive brush.
Exactly, just by using a massive brush. Say that 3 times fast. I can create more texture within the texture within the texture.
Yeah.
Within the texture, probably. Excuse me, but yeah, these are just some ways that I've been exploring the new Spring 2024 brushes and learning more about Norse mythology and drawing pictures of beautiful women, life doesn't get better than that.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. We'll say goodbye now so we don't get cut off. Thank you everyone for joining us live and watching on demand as well. We'll be back next week with some more Adobe Live Asia Pacific. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
See everyone. Bye.
See ya.